Good morning. It is a pretty cloudy day, as you can tell, but there is some red there far away in the sky. Yeah, it is still early and the weather is just so pleasant and warm. But I'm going on my early morning ride and gonna wait a little bit to see what's happening. to give you my side of the story. Because everything looks very different from my perspective. And I should say it's not really my personal perspective. It is actually quite objective what I am saying. But those people who are all engaging in disembodied language, like you, you cannot acknowledge that what I'm saying is actually objective. It's not subjective. It's not my personal feeling what I'm expressing here. Yeah. I mean, when I am saying that everybody is involved in disembodied language, that nobody is listening to themselves while they speak, that's a statement of fact. And you have not even acknowledged that fact. So you are completely out of touch with reality. Because how can a way of talking in which you do not listen to yourself, how can that be real? It is not. And I am listening to myself. I have embodied language. And so my way of talking is real. And that is not some personal opinion. No, that's a verifiable fact. And how do you verify that? How do you verify that what you're saying is true? How do you know that what you say is true? I must admit, when I came to discover the difference between listening to myself and having embodied language, and not listening to myself and engaging in disembodied language and just doing what everybody else does. Yeah? When I came to discover that difference, when I came to understand that I was, just like everybody else, conditioned to have disembodied language. And when I discovered that I could listen to myself, that I could hear myself speak and experience that, wow, listening to myself is so nice, is so pleasant, so self-evident, so effortless. Well, when I discovered that, it was an enormous epiphany. But as time went by, and as I continued to explore it, it became increasingly aware that nobody is doing this. That I'm the only one. I could not believe it. I just could not believe it. I could not believe myself that what I did was true. Because nobody else did it. And I kept wanting to talk with people about it. I kept wanting to address it. And nobody wanted to address it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. So I kept going back again to myself, to my own ability to have embodied language. And I kept sort of verifying with myself, well, wait a second, but when I'm just by myself, it is just a piece of cake. I just listen to myself, I talk with myself, and I just feel great. I feel energized, I feel clear, I feel happy. This is how I want to talk, and nobody wants to talk like this. Everybody distracts from this. Everybody is busy with other things than with embodied language. Everybody is busy with disembodied language. Yeah? And so it's very understandable, for me at least, that everybody is engaging in disembodied language, because you just can't believe that it is possible to have embodied language. It is equally challenging to you or to anyone who is going to listen to themselves than it was to me. There's no way around that. You are going against the conditioning of all of mankind. Yeah, you heard me correctly. You're going against the conditioning of all of mankind. I'm just gonna walk. I feel like I wanna walk. It's nice to ride my beautiful bicycle, but I just feel like walking. It is such a nice, calm, you could say, cloudy morning. I like the cloudy sky. It's cool, but it is not cold, and it's kind of moist in the air, which is kind of unusual here in Chico, because in a little while we will be slammed with the heat, as we always are in Chico. Whenever the spring sets in, whenever the weather starts warming up, you are immediately blazing hot, and then all this green, except for those lawns that are watered, all this green will be gone. But right now it is still out there in the hills. Everything is green and lush. But yeah, this issue that everybody is engaged in disembodied language, and that I'm the only one, and that anyone who is going to do what I do is going to be facing the same denial. Yeah, because it is a denial. It's unintelligent that we are not listening to ourselves, and it is a denial of what is true. Yeah, denial of reality. I mean, nobody can deny that to talk and to listen to yourself is, of course, the correct way of speaking, the correct way of dealing with language. How can it be true? Oh no, you should not listen to yourself. You should just talk like a chicken without a head or so. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. This is just so stupid. You should just talk in such a way that make everybody listen to you. Yeah. You just tell them how it is. Raise your voice. Yeah. Make your voice heard. That's what people talk about, right? Make your voices heard. Be a voice for the voiceless. All that nonsense. This total unintelligence. Groupthink. That's another word of referring to it. Groupthink. There's of course no thought. Yeah, to begin with, because thought is just a reference to inner language, and inner language doesn't exist. So there is no think, but there is of course talk. There is language. There's how we deal with language. So language has to do with group behavior, and that is called disembodied language. In disembodied language, we're always busy with each other and inadvertently part of some group that we're talking about, us versus them, whatever. And then, the people who know and the people who do not know, the people who are moral and those who are immoral, the people who are yeah, supposedly wise or better or whatever. Yeah. And those who are stupid. Yeah. But that group behavior, yeah, here in America, you have what they call the Civil Rights Act. I don't know if you've heard of that. Yeah, that is a particular law that protects certain classes, races and gender and all that kind of stuff. But what people do not realize is that when they give rights to groups, these rights of groups are always in denial of the individual. Yeah? So now we are using these rights of groups to basically completely squash individualism. This is also part of why, not the whole reason, but look how beautiful green it is here. Isn't that great? I love it. I'm so happy to live here. This is also part of the reason why why there is no embodied language. Because we keep being enthralled with, we keep being stuck with, we keep being we are imaginary speaking, so because it's not real, but we believe we are incapable of stepping out of that conditioning. We are imprisoned, so to speak. We're not imprisoned, but we have this habit of using our language a certain way, and so we don't listen to ourselves. We make the other more important than us, and in that sense we are either listening to others, yeah, that's what we do in our language. We're listening to others. We are listening to others, or we try to make others listen to us. But we're not listening to ourselves. I'm listening to myself. It's just so simple. And I'm not here speaking on behalf of any group. I'm not representing anybody else but myself. Yeah? Embodied language is my language. Is the language that fits with my experience. And it's the language that refers to my reality, my experience, my way of life. And so, as I was saying in the beginning, this is a fact. Yeah, everybody could do this. Everybody could have their own language, which is embodied language. Everybody could listen to themselves and speak in the way they want to speak, they like to speak. Speak in the way that they are in touch with themselves. That's freedom. That's the freedom of the individual. Yeah? And that's the freedom of the individual when you stop listening to others, when you stop making other people listen to you. I'm not doing that. If you listen to me, if you happen to come across this video, yeah, you can praise yourself lucky, because there's nobody else talking like this. I'm the only one. And all the other people who have spoken, yeah, many people have spoken about all sorts of stuff. Nobody has spoken about this. So what were they speaking about then, if they didn't speak about this? How can something so obvious be so overlooked? Have you ever wondered? How can it be that everybody talks in such a way that they are not listening to themselves? Nobody does this deliberately. Nobody does this skillfully. Nobody does this continuously. Nobody. It's absurd. How can we not do this? How can we not discover this? How can we not want to discover this? How can we not acknowledge this and say like, yeah, of course, this is the essence of individual freedom. It's just amazing. Well, it is because we are conditioned, of course. And that conditioning is so pervasive, is so profound, that what I'm doing to this very day, yeah, doesn't receive any attention. Let's just face it. I mean, there are a couple of people that listen to it maybe on my YouTube channel, I know. But the challenge that I am representing is not met by any substantial amount of people. And it doesn't matter who they are. Yeah, there's all kinds of people who consider themselves to be educated, yeah, academics, people who consider themselves to be knowledgeable on behaviorism and behaviorology, people who consider themselves to be intellectuals, or they are supposedly in charge. I was just passing this man with his dog, and he let this dog walk free next to him. But whenever I pass him, and I pass him almost every morning, he's just anxiously holding his dog back, and the dog is just totally calm, and it doesn't look like the dog would ever come to me or would ever do anything, but the guy is just making a show of the fact that he's controlling his dog. He does that for me, for some reason. That's what it sounds like to me. There's really no need for him to control that dog and say, stay, stay, stay. The dog is already staying, dude. But he has to show off that he is in control of that dog. And he wants me to pay attention to him, how he is making his dog obey to him as his little trip. Yeah, people are in control of animals. That's why they have them. And they are also in control of their children. That's also many times why they have them. Yeah. People are in control of their significant other. That's why they have them. The so-called significant other. Yeah. People are in control of their family, of their community, their so-called community, but they're not in control of themselves. They're not in touch with themselves. Because in control of yourself means being in touch with yourself. And of course, let's just cut the crap here. Yeah, there's no such thing as being in touch with yourself. There's being yourself. Yeah, that's what embodied language is about. It's not about being in touch with yourself. There's no self. You are yourself. And that whole issue of the self as something separate from, like, who are you? Yeah, who is what? I am myself. That is impossible. There's no two of me. Yeah. So all this language nonsense goes on in the name of disembodied language, which represents the separation of the speaker and the listener. Yeah. If you don't listen to yourself, how can it not be that you as a speaker is perceived to be something else than you as a listener? Yeah, it's the same person. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? You see all these yellow flowers? It's such a nice scene here this early morning. Green field. Yeah. So yeah, once again, I want to emphasize the fact that this is an objectively verifiable thing. Yeah, embodied language is not my personal idea, my theory, my technique. No, embodied language is a real thing. You either do it or you don't. You either listen to yourself or you don't. And that can be measured, that can be observed by third person people. Yeah, how do you say that? You can talk about it in the first person perspective, and you can talk about it in the third person perspective. Do you understand? Yes, when I talk about it in the first person perspective, then I say, "Oh yeah, no, this is what I sound like. This is my embodied language." But from a third person perspective, I can say, "Everyone can do this, of course." Of course, everyone can listen to themselves while they speak. What is the big freaking deal? The big freaking deal is that you will go against the whole of human history. That's the big freaking deal. Yeah, the individual has never been free. And yeah, and the collective, whatever that means, yeah, the so-called protected classes, yeah, because the protected classes always refers to the collective in one way or another, yeah, or aspects of the collective, certain groups. It's always in denial of the individual. And so yeah, you keep busy with that, you never get to who you are. You keep busy with your family, with your relationship, you keep busy with your community or with your race or with your gender. You can never be yourself. And all these people, they're all screaming and crying about that they want to be accepted for who they are. No, they're not who they are. And who they believe to be is not who they are. They cannot be who they are. They don't have embodied language. So, and of course, there's many people also who are very concerned and very insistent about freedom. They're very insistent about all kind of spiritual mumbo jumbo about, yeah, how to be your true self, your higher self, or how to be enlightened, how to be conscious, how to be mindful. This has nothing to do with any of that. Yeah? You talk, you listen. That's it. And you listen while you speak. Yeah? There's no way in which you can actually do this also, yeah? If you try to listen to yourself, you're not listening to yourself. That's something to be understood. That whatever you try to do is something that has nothing to do with embodied language. Stop doing what you have been doing. Stop acting. Stop trying to be what you're not. Yeah? You have your own way of talking. And yeah, you can only express it if you listen to yourself. If you don't listen to yourself, your own way of talking, it seems like you can never really be yourself. And being yourself is something that seems to be impossible. And there's always a struggle going on. That is too, because yeah, when you cannot be yourself, of course, there's always conflict. There's always something missing, something wrong. There's always tension and anxiety and fear and whatever, stress. So you can never be whole. You can never be at peace. But here, look at me. What am I doing? I'm just walking here with my beautiful bicycle. I'm not even riding my beautiful bicycle. I'm just walking with it in my hands, showing off my bicycle. Here ahead of me are my favorite ladies. They're always so kind. I'm just... Oh. Uh-oh. Hi, it's a nice morning, eh? Nice weather. Yeah, have a good one. I don't believe they speak English very well. They're Mexican ladies. Hello. Yeah, this is such a nice place. I like the open fields, and it goes all the way up to the hills. Maybe you cannot see it so well in this video, but it's I've been up in these hills. I like to go into Upper Bidwell once in a while. I was still going to make a video one of these days of me just walking in Upper Bidwell because it is such a beautiful canyon. I've made a video before about that, and if you scroll back to my earlier videos you can see it. But you know, regardless of what I show you on this video, or regardless of what I tell you about this video, what is the use of this? Well, the use of it is that I like to make these videos. The use of it is that it pleases me to know that maybe somebody is able to watch this and appreciate this. And yeah, and of course there is of course the possibility, the future of mankind, where just imagine that for a second. Because I have already done this, I have already experienced this, I have already explored this and experimented with this. But just imagine that we are all having embodied language, and that we are all listening to ourselves while we speak. Yeah? When I was still in the Netherlands, before I came to the United States, I've given hundreds of workshops. And even when I came to the United States, that first 1.5 year, I gave many workshops throughout the Bay Area. I even gave a workshop for the Department of Defense, believe it or not. I was actually, they paid for my flight ticket. I flew from San Francisco to Reno, stayed in an expensive hotel, and I did a seminar with people from Department of Defense, and I did with also with big companies in San Francisco, and with the Port of Oakland, and with the PD from Oakland, and yeah, all sorts of people. I gave many seminars, and I worked with many different people, and I have repeatedly created the situation in which people could begin to acknowledge that, of course, they can listen to themselves, and of course it is wonderful, and of course it is needed to step out of that tragic history with disembodied language. And so I have experienced numerous times what it is like when we are all doing this, and I have no urge organizing this again, because it was a very big, you could say, hassle for me to pull all that together and to get people to join me, and to, I don't know, to endlessly be busy with others, basically, so that they would finally be willing to sort of just explore what it is that I'm saying. But that is a past station. I no longer want to do that. I no longer do that. I've also, of course, given my psychology classes, because I studied psychology. I've worked in mental health for many years, so I've also in mental health with all the schizophrenics and all the bipolar people, all the depressed people, all the obsessive compulsive people. I've all dealt with all of them. The suicidal people and the addicted people and all them. All of them have experienced what it is like to have embodied language. Yeah? I've given groups, I've given seminars here in Chico also for the community. I've had a radio show here on the local radio station where I spoke about embodied language. And that went on when I was doing my undergraduate study. And that was nice, But I'm not anymore doing that because I don't want to do any effort anymore in reaching anybody. And so this is why I'm making these videos, because it is the easiest way for me to sort of just live my life. No, if other people want to invite me, if other people want to organize some group to come together and invite me to facilitate this, okay, I'm willing to consider that, but not in 2025. Yeah, 2025, as I've stated and as I will continue to insist, 2025 is the year in which everybody has to just do their own homework, has to do their own exploration, in which they are going to be by themselves, just like I am. Look, I'm just walking here by myself. There's nobody here. I'm just here by myself in this beautiful landscape. And everybody can do this. Everybody can be by themselves in your room or outside, wherever. Be on your own. Talk with yourself. Listen to yourself. Speak with yourself in the sound, in the way, in the energy, the vibration that you feel like, yeah, this is what I want to say. This is who I am. This is where I hear myself, where I am truly connected, where I feel what I'm saying. This is what I need to do. And I'm telling myself what I need to do. I'm instructing myself, literally, because you need to. If you want to continuously abandon your history of conditioning, you need to tell yourself that you need to go against your conditioning, and you need to tell yourself everything that is different with your embodied language. There's no way around it. You need to let yourself know that, every time you get carried away by what you supposedly think, no, there's no such thing as thinking. You just imagine that you're thinking. Hell yeah, you're worried, you're stressed, you're upset, you just associate and all this kind of stuff. But why are you doing that? Why are you not in the moment? Why are you not present? Why are you not conscious? Well, you're not conscious because your language doesn't allow you to be conscious. If you would listen to yourself while you speak, you'll be conscious. And so this issue of consciousness is completely wrongly defined or described with your disembodied language. In embodied language, you are conscious because you listen to yourself, because the speaker is the listener. And yeah, there's no other way to be conscious. And your language just seems to run away from you, or it happen involuntarily to you, because that's because you've never spoken like that. But once you do it, you suddenly hear yourself say what you supposedly think, and you realize, like, wow, I'm not thinking anything. I'm just saying what I'm able to say, what I want to say, what I need to say to make myself do something else than what I've done before. Because let's make no mistake, yeah, your disembodied language, of course, relates to a whole different set of behaviors than your embodied language. You're going to do something else with your embodied language. And unless you tell yourself to do something else and to say, like, well, no, there is no inner language, there is no thought, there's no self inside of me that does what I do. There's just only doing, there's just only behaving. There's only here, in this case, do you see, I'm just walking and I'm talking. And I'm walking while I'm talking. Do you get it? And also I'm rolling the wheels of my bicycles next to me. Yeah? And I'm also hearing not only myself, but I'm also hearing the birds. Yeah? So you will be doing other things, and unless you let yourself know that you need to do these other things, you want to do these other things, you can do these other things, yeah? And yes, you should, because If you know that you could and you don't, then you are shortchanging yourself. If you know that it is possible for you to have embodied language, but you're not having it, then you are defeating. You're engaging in self-defeating behavior. So you got to stop that self-defeating behavior. You got to catch it. You got to describe it. You got to know it, and you got to recognize it, and you got to say, no, that's just my old conditioning, and I gotta stop doing that. And that is called self-regulation. That is called self-control. That is called independence. That's called freedom. Yeah, I mean, there is no other freedom. Yeah. And so you are the one who decides, and you are the one who arranges your life. And and of course, this whole decision-making process, this is also something so unaddressed, because unaddressed in the sense that you can only address it with embodied language. Yeah, I'm going to sit here for a little bit and I'm going to explain this a little bit further, or explore this a little bit further, because it's such an important, we have this whole issue about free will, right? And that we have to decide for ourselves and so forth. We are all responsible for ourselves and all these kind of things. Well, let me just say this here. You don't have any other choice than to go on with the self-defeating behaviors which are caused by and related to, and of course maintained by, your disembodied language, in which you do not listen to yourself. So the behaviors that are positive, that are supportive of who you are, that make you successful, make you happy, make you content also, because it's about contentment. Yeah, if you continuously oh, look at that stop sign. That's nice. you got to stop that behavior. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you're not going to be content. You're going to not be happy. But you're not happy because you're not effective. And so being effective and being and behaving in such a way that your behavior results in the outcomes which are positive for you, positive in the truest sense, not positive in the sense that that you are better than others or something like that. No, it is more like positive in the sense that you are better than your old self, your old conditioning, your old package of bullshit that you have been believing in, which is just not true. So you basically transform your own behavioral history with your embodied language. But how does that happen? Is that an act of will? Is that an act of, how does that, is that a decision that you make? Well, once you have embodied language, once you, I'm having embodied language right now, I mean, and you can say, oh, he's just talking and this is all too good to be true or something like that. But well, okay, I'm having embodied language. I'm listening to myself. I hear what I'm saying. I act on what I'm saying. And everything that I say and act on is one thing. So for me, action and saying is the same. Yeah. There's no difference. There's no difference between saying something and doing something. I do what I say. I live the way I speak. Yeah. So, that's just it's pretty profound, isn't it? Well, so you gotta say that. You gotta let yourself know. If you don't let yourself know, how are you supposed to know? read it from a book or hear somebody else say this and then supposedly you know it. No, you need to tell yourself. And you need to tell yourself about what's going on with you. I mean, nobody else can do it. So it's funny how this sign sort of emphasizes everything I'm saying. Stop it! Stop! Oh, there's many mosquitoes around here. And they always come after me. I gotta get on my bicycle.